Hello, I am Linda Campbell, your state representative here in Methuen, and I want to thank Methuen TV for the opportunity to share some Memorial Day thoughts with all of you. I also want to thank them for the opportunity to thank them for all they're doing to provide us an awful lot of important information in our community about COVID-19. They are bringing us all together to bring us the news that's important to our community. So thank you, Methuen TV, and all of you who work here. I have the privilege to serve as the House Chair on the Committee on Veteran and Federal Affairs in the state legislature, and it is a real privilege. And I have a couple of thoughts on Memorial Day that I'd like to share with you, both specifically about Memorial Day in general, and then specifically about Memorial Day 2020, which is going to be different. Memorial Day in general. Karen asked me to look at this and my thoughts on how I think about Memorial Day. And it's very personal for each and every one of us. And I look at this two ways. I picture myself at a cemetery, a memorial cemetery, either in Bourne, Massachusetts, Methuen, Massachusetts, or on the fields of Normandy. And it fills me, when I have those images in my mind, of the breadth of the sacrifice. And it can generate, for me, a great deal of sadness, because as a military officer, I worked with so many young people, and I think of them individually when I see this and how young these people were that gave their lives for humanity and for our country and for democracy. But I'm also filled with a sense of hope when I look at the breadth of this. And I look at thousands of white, small crosses across a field and think that this many people would lay down their lives for our country, for democracy around the world, and that they gave this gift to us at such a young age, most of them, and they gave this gift to future generations. The ultimate sacrifice. And so I'm filled with that sense of breadth about Memorial Day. And numbers, however, sometimes are hard for us to get our hearts around. And I also look at Memorial Day from an individual perspective. And I try in my mind, I've had the honor of doing this, but I want you to think about yourself. Picture yourself on a tarmac at an airport when a plane lands carrying the body of a service member with a coffin and a flag draped over that coffin, and a very solemn ceremony takes place where an honor guard rolls that coffin down the ramp and presents it to the family. And picture yourself as a family member, if you will, receiving that flag on that bended knee by that officer, handing it to you. And think about if your son or your daughter or your mother or your father were in that coffin. And I don't say this in a morbid way. I say this in a way of great and deep respect. But I wanted to share that with you because when I go to many Memorial Day events around the Commonwealth, I try in my mind's eye to picture both of these scenarios. And it allows me to feel what Memorial Day is as a person, as a human being. And so I thought I would share that with you, both the breadth and the depth of this day. And on another note, this year we have a Memorial Day that's going to be quite different from all others. It's a time for us to draw courage and strength from all those who came before us. It's an opportunity for us to support our communities and our neighbors in a way that would make those that have died for our country both proud and grateful. It's a time to reflect that our nation is still at war. And between 2019 and 2020, we lost at least 50 service members in Iraq and Afghanistan. The war goes on. It's a time to grieve the veterans that we lost at our soldiers' homes in both Chelsea and Holyoke. A true tragedy. It's also a time to commit ourselves that this loss of life in this way from a virus or infection will never, ever, ever happen again, anywhere in the Commonwealth or in our country. It's a time to reflect about the 17 veterans every day that commit suicide, and to commit ourselves to make this number 0. There are no excuses for us. It's a time to thank Home Base, a national organization right here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that works hard and successfully to reduce the number of suicides among our veterans' populations. And they also work with our military families to make that family whole. We owe them a great deal of gratitude. And it's a time to thank all of those who work individually, caring and helping our veterans each and every day as they age and as they undergo and endure some difficult medical conditions. It's a time for veterans themselves, and very importantly, our Gold Star families, those mothers and families who have lost a service member. And it's time for them to bond together too, and to thank each other, support each other, having given their duty and their honor to our country and our fellow Americans, and very importantly, future generations. It's a really important time for us to turn to them and say thank you, and for them to really support each other. It's a time to reflect that we have sailors and Marines aboard ships and submarines all over the world in a very COVID-rich, COVID-19 environment. And they're still there, and we offer our prayers for them. Finally, it's an opportunity to offer gratitude to all those in our armed forces currently serving around the world and here in the United States, and very importantly, our National Guard, who has been to many elder care facilities, who has been deployed to the Holyoke Soldiers' Home to assist there in a very critical way. It's time to also to say thank you for them, for all that they're doing right now to help us, our country, in this national and state emergency. Thank you. God bless.